Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome into the program. I hope that you're doing well and you are ready for today's show. Because today on the program we have, you guessed it, Ralph Bond. Yes, he is joining us here to talk all about 4 amazing stories and then a little bit extra. We'll get into that later in the program. But these are stories that you definitely want to hear about because odds are, if you're like me, until Ralph brings them to our attention, the vast majority of these we do not hear about, and you definitely want to. Like, if I asked you the question, how do you read a piece of paper from a mile away? I wish I had a good follow-up joke for that, but no, Ralph just has some amazing technology that will let you do just that. So with that being said, computeramerica.com, that's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, show notes, articles, anything that we do here at Computer America, including social media links, and you can, of course, find us at Computer America on all social media. The show notes are super important. Ralph spends a lot of time making them all nice and neat for you, and you can go to computeramerica.com and find more information because, we're going to do our best to give you, the best of the stories that we can, but there's always more to dig into if that is what you so choose. So once again, computeramerica.com, today's show notes, and of course, all of Ralph's show notes are up there as well. We have a whole section dedicated at the top of our website to Ralph and all of his misadventures. So with that being said, let's go ahead and bring the man on himself. Ralph, welcome back onto Computer America. How you been?
It's great to be back, and happy birthday, America, this week. Hey.
Absolutely. 4th of July. I am remiss to not say that, but yeah, it's what are the Mr. Bond traditions for 4th of July for your family?
Yeah.
Mine usually go out and see fireworks, maybe cook a little bit. I think the traditions, but what about you?
We do an insane flag display in the front of our house, including a whole bunch of historic flags. And I even have a big poster board with pictures and explanations and history for the different flags, like the flag that the Star Spangled Banner was written for and all this good stuff. So it's kind of a crazy display. It's extreme. And then we do a backyard classic party. Nice. Today, where we have everybody in the neighborhood come over and we all kind of collaborate on the menu and grill and all the good classic stuff with the oldies on the station because the oldsters like me dominate this activity. So we get to hear what we want to hear, which is the oldies station on Netflix and whatever.
I mean, the kids get Christmas and Thanksgiving. And
that's right.
It's time for, a good summer cookout. So no, that sounds like a fun.
Right.
And of course, all the flags very informative as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, if you're watching the video portion, you can see Ralph, you can see myself, and of course, in the background, you can see those show notes I mentioned earlier. Ralph, I think, since everyone can kind of see those, why don't you go ahead, for any new listeners out there, give them the rundown, what they can expect.
Yes, new listeners, new viewers, welcome. Great to have you. And what Ben and I do each Friday is highlight 4 recent articles that show us key trends and developments in artificial intelligence, robotics, medical technology, sustainable energy technology, transportation advances, agricultural technology, space research, physics, you name it, all across the board. But most important of all, especially in the news cycle this week with all the fighting about the big, beautiful bill and on and on. Well, all that terrible things going on in the world and wars. And no, forget all that today. We're going to leave you feeling positive and give you an oasis of positive news thanks to the world of science and technology.
I think we absolutely are. And turns out that everyone was wrong and certain people are right, Ralph. We're going to start with story number 1. And turns out the key to happiness is actually face tattoos. I know everyone looks at face tattoos and says, wow, those are not very good to get. But no, the Post Malone had it right all along. Ralph, let's talk about face tattoos.
Yes, yes. Actually, this is kind of a fun story that picks up on a story we did earlier this year. We'll mention in just a moment. First, this comes from livescience.com. Headline: Electronic face tattoos could measure your mental strain at work. A disposable electronic tattoo, these are temporary, by the way, a disposable electronic tattoo that measures mental workload could be used to enhance safety in high pressure jobs, researchers say. And earlier this year, I think maybe around the May timeframe, we did a story about electronic scalp tattoos could be the next big thing in brain monitoring. So it's sort of interesting to me to see another advancement in this idea of temporary tattoos. And again, when we say tattoo, they look like tattoos. They're literally, of course, not tattoos. Think of them kind of like electronic versions of the temporary tattoos my grandkids love to get on their arms and faces and all that good stuff. So that's where we're going with this one. In the show notes, now Ben mentioned this at the outset of the show, please come to computeramerica.com, especially if you're listening to us as a podcast and you want to follow up on this. We have links to the articles. We have links where it's appropriate or where it's applicable to research papers and so on. Please do that because you need to see the image of this experimental face tattoo, temporary application, because you can see it's pretty extensive and a little bit imposing. But here's the story. Researchers at the Department of Aerospace Engineering and Engineering Mechanics at the University of Texas in Austin have developed a wireless, temporary electronic face tattoo that can monitor brain waves to objectively measure mental workload in real time. And the study highlights how this ultra-thin sensor placed on the forehead can detect changes in brain activity and eye movement using EEG and EOG signals. So a little refresh on what that is. EEG and EOG are both types of bioelectric signals. They measure the electrical activity generated by the body, but they focus on different systems. Real quick here, EEG, electroencephalogram, records the electrical activity of the brain. And I've got more details in the show notes if you want to dig deeper. EOG, which is electrooculogram, measures the electrical potential between the front and back of the eye, which changes as the eyes move. So those are the two factors that go into the input, if you will, of this face tattoo we're talking about.
Yeah, if people are like me, I'm sure they've heard of EEG. EOG, though, is a new one to me. So
yeah, me
thank
too.
you for that.
Yeah, me too. That was new. And both signals are low in amplitude and require sensitive amplifiers to be accurately recorded. If you're diving into biomedical signal processing, these are the two that are foundational. So that's a little quick educational tutorial aside, which we do a lot in the show notes, by the way. I inject additional information because very often in these technical journals, people expect or assume you know all of the things they're talking about. Well, I sure don't, like EOG. We just mentioned that. That was new to me. The goal of this project is to help identify cognitive overload in high-stakes professionals like air traffic control. Boy, that's been a topic of late. Or truck driving, where lapses in focus can have serious, needless to say, consequences. Pretty cool. So that's the motivation.
Yeah.
And then,
I just took a trip not too long ago. Talked about it a little before the show, and that was a quick 14-hour drive. Very fun. Very cool. And honestly, like, we got this fancy new car that it almost like drives itself. It has like lane keep, speed change, auto brake.
Nice.
I love it. It's almost like, Ralph, it's almost like you're like monitoring the car while it drives itself. Anyways, I say that because a lot of people don't have those fancy systems. And Ralph, I don't know what it is. There's like a huge push in the United States to get more truck drivers. Like everyone's hiring truck drivers. They'll train truck drivers. To do big long haul truck driving is a huge push. And it seems like there's a lot of new people out there on the road, Ralph. I've been driving long distance for a couple of years now, and man, Ralph, there's a lot of bad drivers, and you got to watch yourself. And I saw some of them falling asleep at the wheel. Like it was bad. Yeah. So I could totally imagine that this could easily save lives, not just for people using them, but of course the people around them. So yeah.
Oh, you're cool. You're absolutely right. If you had this kind of device on your face, on your head, and so forth. And if it were made more comfortable and more practical and so on, it could help if you, for example, if you start to nod off while you're
Mhm.
driving.
They,
Boom.
they have it rolled into this face tattoo idea, which just kind of show that it can go directly. It should go directly on the skin. It seems. Ralph,
Yeah.
it would be cool if they could get this in a way to work with people. Truck drivers wear baseball caps. I'm profiling. It's okay. If they could get this to work in a baseball cap kind of rim, you just wear the hat and it has everything kind of built in with it pressed against your forehead. And then that would be the thing that would measure it. So you could take it off, take it on, and you wouldn't have all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the researchers are listening, work this into a baseball cap and truck drivers will, wear it all the time. So,
Well, actually, you raise kind of a good point. And one thing we want to stress, most of what we talk about every Friday is early research. What you see in the picture for this story might look kind of crazy and overwhelming. It's the first iteration of this technology. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And it goes on here with the story. It says, unlike bulky EEG caps, this e-tattoo is lightweight, cost-effective. They think it'll cost about $20 per sensor and customizable to fit individual facial features for better signal accuracy. And initial tests showed that the device could detect rising mental strain through increased theta and delta waves and predict fatigue by tracking drops in alpha and beta activity. Okay, in the show notes, I have a bunch of tutorials. You can look at this, what is a theta wave, what are delta waves. You can dive into that if you want to, but that's what's going on with this device. It's very sophisticated. The team also trained a machine learning model. Ding, ding, ding. There's your artificial intelligence. The team also trained a machine learning model to estimate mental workload, hinting at future applications in real-time cognitive monitoring. So pretty cool technology here. And again, the very beginning.
Yes, and nothing dystopian about real-time cognitive monitoring. Although Ralph, some of those high-stress jobs makes perfect sense. I don't know why, but my brain immediately goes to students because I remember being a student, nodding off in the back of class, trying to pay attention, falling asleep. I wonder if the future iteration of this, Ralph, could be for students that are like just sitting there listening to someone lecture and falling asleep does no one any good. Maybe they'll be like, okay, you're falling asleep, go take a walk, go do something, kind of wake yourself up. And hey, maybe different applications for like learning, studying, training, that kind of thing. Maybe.
Yes, absolutely. It's kind of funny in a way. The school thing you're suggesting is kind of comical. Imagine a gigantic display in the classroom with a symbol for each student in each seat. And if they start nodding off, they'll get embarrassed because it blinks or something, or it gives them a shock in the seat.
Shock. There you go. I was wondering when the shock was coming because that's very almost Simpson-esque. Someone falls asleep and the Simpsons character shocks the student. Very true. So that's story number one. A lot of possibilities for that, and I guarantee that's going to be in a lot of places eventually. But moving on to story number two, if we scroll on down in the show notes. And by the way, I should tell everyone that by the time that they're hearing this, the show notes will be up on the website, so you can follow along as well. So with that being said, story number two, if you're following along, lasers. And this is what I was talking about before about being able to read super long distances. This seems almost impossible, but I'm sure the science backs it up. So, Ralph, story number two.
This is really fascinating. This comes from sciencealert.com. The headline, this laser breakthrough can read text on a page from a mile away. What? You got to check this out. It's really it's fascinating. So your eyesight might be good enough to confidently read the tiny text at the optometrist from a few meters away, but you're left in the dust by a new device recently demoed by researchers from the University of Science and Technology of China, which was able to scan tiny individual characters of text from a distance of 1.36 kilometers. That's about 0.85 miles away, so close to a mile away.
Yeah, it'd be tiny.
What? How did they do it? Well, here we go. The research team developed a device that can read tiny text as small as 3 millimeters using a technique called intensity interferometry. Okay. And intensity interferometry takes a different approach to imaging than conventional cameras. Rather than measuring light waves directly, these devices measure the way light reflects and interferes with itself, then compiles an image from the data. Now, this gives me an opportunity to stress something, folks, especially if you're new to the show. We just give you the highlights. There's so much more going on in the research papers and much more in the articles themselves. We're giving you just the highlights. You need the show notes if you want to understand more, because we just don't have time to explain everything or to read the entire article to you, right? So intensity interferometry is one of those super geeky things that we'll just have to salute at this point and move on.
And by the way, just another feature that we recently added that I don't mention enough, which is the subtitles that you can see up on the video portion if you're kind of hard of hearing. And we're throwing out words that I've never heard before. Thank you, Ralph. But I just have to say, the captions are by Google, and the captions interferometry is just like Google picks it up instantly. Like there's really no. I am so impressed at how good the captions are for this program. So yeah, that's all. Go ahead.
It is great. And again, thanks again for noting the captions for our folks with hearing disabilities. So let's go on to this. It says the system uses 8 infrared laser beams and 2 telescopes to measure how light reflects and interferes. These variations allow for high resolution imaging, 14 times sharper than using one telescope alone. And this approach works well even in turbulent atmospheric conditions and could be used for advanced physics experiments, remote sensing, and space telescopes. That's interesting. The method exploits a quantum behavior in how photons bunch together, contributing to its resolution capabilities. That's a great example of the ultra geeky stuff of this. I'm not going to claim I understand it, but there it is.
Just when you think you're like, okay, 2 telescopes, couple lasers, they interact in some way, data points, and then they're like, oh, it's quantum physics. And you're like, I almost had it, but then they just took it away from me.
There you go.
I gotcha.
Oh, I know, and that's something. And researchers aim to refine laser control and possibly integrate artificial intelligence to enhance image interpretation. This is an onion of many layers of extreme geekiness, folks. And it's a fascinating mix, to wrap it up here, it's a fascinating mix of quantum optics, precision engineering, and futuristic sensing, to say the least. Fascinating stuff. Again, go to the article, go to the information to learn much, much more than we can share with you right now.
Yep, and the lasers then return a super cool laser font, and you can see that there in the image on the show notes. So yeah, very cool, and I'm sure that won't be the last time we hear about this, but the applications, like the article mentioned, wide-ranging.
Yeah.
So, story number 2, story number 3, let's go ahead and move on over. And I don't know about you, Ralph, I don't want to say addicted to coffee, it's just an overwhelming need that controls my life, to coffee. So yes, exactly, as he takes a sip. So for everyone else out there taking a sip of coffee grounds, it's a day, sprinkle them in your garden, do what you will with them, compost them, what have you. But looks like the scientists from Finland have found a little bit of a different use for them.
Yeah, this is fun, and you're right. The more and more over the last several years, we've seen articles about, hey, did you know coffee grounds could be used for this, could be used for everything from gardening to all kinds of interesting scientific possibilities. So this is in that category. This one comes from The Cool Down, which is a section of the MSN.com news service. Headline: Scientists develop a game-changing method to make use of coffee waste. We're going to find out it has to do with printing. So scientists from Finland's Tampere, I hope I'm saying that right, University of Applied Sciences, in collaboration with Natural Indigo of Finland, and they're a plant and bio-based colorant developer, and coffee maker Mira Oy, created a water-based ink using natural biocolorant extracted from coffee waste. And the ink can be used to print on fiber-based packaging, including paper. And the pigment, is derived from recycled coffee grounds, creating a renewable, plant-based alternative to synthetic inks. So here's the deal. Some synthetic ink families are fossil fuel-based. So what they're looking at is, hey, we've got this amazing amount of spent coffee waste, can it be used to create something that will replace synthetic, man-made inks and so forth for printing? And the answer is yes. So the article then outlines how this was developed. So Mira Oy supplied roasted coffee side streams. Now, if you're a coffee geek, I just learned this. You can go into Starbucks and say, "Oh, where are your side streams?" And they'll go, "Dude, you're really hip." Coffee side streams, essentially the byproducts of coffee production. So coffee side streams, real quick, refer to the byproducts generated during coffee production and processing. And these include spent coffee grounds, no surprise, coffee husks, and what's called silver skin with the outer layers, and defective or broken beans, and wastewater and pulp from the coffee roasting process. And then Natural Indigo of Finland processed this waste to extract a natural biocolorant. And then the Tampere University of Applied Sciences team in Finland formulated this pigment into a water-based ink suitable for flexographic printing. Okay, wait a minute. What is that? Flexographic printing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Often nicknamed Flexo, is a high-speed versatile printing method that uses flexible relief plates to transfer ink onto a wide variety of materials. Is especially popular in packaging and labeling industries. So what the goal is to give that industry, that purpose, a plant-based alternative. And the solution offers several environmental benefits, cuts down on pollution from oil-based ink production and disposal. Oil-based, there's that fossil fuel link. Reduces waste by repurposing abundant coffee byproducts. There are over 3,000 coffee roasters alone in the United States. And the ink, yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, 3,000 coffee roasters, and I'm pretty sure 2,900 of them are in Asheville alone. I don't know what to tell you. There's so many around here.
Well, yeah, and Oregon and Washington State, the Northwest is completely obsessed with coffee and IPA beer. Those are the two things that matter the most in where I live. But, and a little side note, by the way, some of your Starbucks outlets will leave bags of coffee grounds for people to take for free. And they're great. They're great for your lawn. I mean, I sprinkle that stuff on my lawn. They love it. Anyway, the grass loves it.
And by the way, if you're watching the video portion, I actually went to, which, is the benefit of the show notes. You can kind of dig through the articles and dig through and find this is the website of the company that's actually doing it, the Natural Indigo Finland. And this is, you can actually see the essentially the waste, the coffee waste water that they're talking about. And then the color that is derived from that. And Ralph, this is going to shock everyone, but a nice coffee color thread is born.
Yes.
So, looks very good.
It is very cool. And to your point, this is perfect. The ink has already been successfully used to print on fiber-based packaging by Finnish paper bag maker Kabasi Oy. And the CEO of Natural Indigo Finland noted, quote, "This is a true circular economy solution. We've taken what was once waste and upcycled it into value, replacing synthetic colorants with a fully bio-based pigment made from coffee." So it's not the most exciting and most out there technological advance, but it's a great example of this relentless, endless effort to look at materials that we have at hand that normally just go into the landfill. Can we turn them into useful products and at the same time replace synthetic and or fossil-based products? And this is a good example of that trend.
Things that are not renewable that we have a finite amount of, and replacing with something that we have waste and renewable is both a benefit. And by the way, if you're watching the video portion again, this is the bag that uses the coffee ink.
There you go.
To print on it, which I just absolutely love. And of course, it's for a coffee company. And by the way, for anyone out there who really wants to, really wants to dig into Natural Indigo Finland, I love their site. They have coffee waste, whatever woad is. They have onion peels that they do something with. Who the heck knows? Looks like they're making some kind of thread or
isn't that great?
Dyeing as well. It's very cool, Ralph. And again, you can find that in the show notes. So go ahead and dig around. It's a lot of fun.
There you go. There you go.
Dig around. You might even find coffee grounds and onion peels. It's whatever you wanted. So story number 3, story number 4. Let's go ahead and fly on over to the exotic city of Houston. And medical news. So Ralph, let's tell the nice folks why story number 4 is usually medical news.
Yeah, that's right. What Ben and I like to do is end the show's official stories, because we're going to have honorable mentions coming up, with a medical technology, medical research breakthrough of some kind. And this is really, really near and dear to my heart, no pun intended, because in 2011, I had a quintuple bypass. So this is something that really resonated with me. Headline of the story here. This comes from the Houston Chronicle, which was published via the MSN website, news website. Houston patient receives first fully robotic heart transplant in the United States. Now, it's not the first in the world. We'll talk about that in a second, but just let that sink in. First fully robotic heart transplant in the United States. What? How could that possibly be? Well, read the article, check it out. You'll learn all about it. So Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center in Houston successfully performed the first fully robotic heart transplant in the United States on March 15. Note, the announcement was made late last month, so there was a little bit of lag in the actual act of doing this and then the reporting on it. But now, the first in the world, however, the very first robotic heart transplant took place last year in Saudi Arabia. So that's kind of fascinating in multiple levels. Going on here, the recipient, 45-year-old Tony Rosales Ibarra, had advanced heart failure. Surgeons used a minimally invasive robotic method, avoiding the traditional sternotomy. I can't even say it. Sternotomy. I can't say it. Having to do with the sternum.
Sternotomy. I assume. I don't know.
Thank you. Well, I think it's because I experienced it. I have, mental block on it. That's where they do a 5-inch or so. What they do is they saw your sternum and then use spreaders to open you up so you can get to your heart and do the replacement. Real surgery.
Real gentle, like, though, I'm sure. Real delicately.
It's very, very extreme. So again, that's the process that involves a saw and so forth. The most frequent type is a medium I can't say it. Cutting open of the sternum to spread it out. Where the incision runs vertically down the center of the chest, this allows the surgeon to spread the rib cage and gain a clear view of the heart area. So that's great. The team removed this man's heart and implanted a donor heart through a what's called pre-peritoneal space in his abdomen. And that space is an anatomical area located between the thin membrane lining the abdominal cavity and the connective tissue layer just inside the abdominal wall. Very medically geeky here.
So they found some extra space in his chest. That's cool.
Yeah, it's remarkable. The approach reduced the risk of infection and helped prevent excessive bleeding from cutting the breastbone, that's the sternum, and need for blood transfusions afterward. The technique allowed for a faster, less painful recovery as well. The surgery represents a significant step forward in the rapidly evolving field of robotic surgery. Boy, Ben, you and I know about that, which experts say offers benefits such as more precision and improved recovery time. And robots have been used in a variety of heart surgeries in Houston and elsewhere, but Rosales Ibarra, the man in question, is the first in the U.S. to be successfully treated with a fully robotic heart transplant. So it's quite remarkable how they pulled this off and how it just made it so much less extreme. And I'm still amazed that they were able to do this without opening up the sternum. They went through above the belly button, and then they found that cavity we were just talking about and went in and did this all. I still cannot. Look, when you have to replace a heart, you've got to connect it to the arteries. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's an incredibly difficult thing to do, even when you do a traditional opening up of the chest. How they do this with robotics without having to do that, I just can't wrap my head around it. But there you go.
Yeah, it's the kind of really the advancements that high technology is kind of promising. And, this is just the first, hopefully, of many, for people that need it. Really brings down the cost, the wait time, and all that goes along with it. Really amazing. And it has the slight added weirdness benefit, and this is a joke, and don't take offense, that when he does hand over heart, it's not over his chest, but it's kind of near his belly button. So, hand over heart, he's kind of down there. So there you go. No, it's super impressive. And the fact that, Ralph, we have talked in the past about maybe one day when surgeons aren't having to be at location, be there with you, but instead
Yes.
being able to do it either remotely. And obviously they had, if you can see the image, they have the surgeon right there on hand. It's not like they put him in a room with a robot and they're like, figure it out.
Yeah, right,
But
right. Good point.
maybe one day surgeons are just monitoring surgeries and everyone can get what they need faster and better because
Yeah.
Ralph, it seems like we have way more need than we have surgeons, and being able to meet that need is a great use of technology. So it's perfect.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that comes to mind, Ben, is imagine a future, and we're on our way, where you could take a patient's stem cells, if there's time, grow a heart for them, and replace their defective heart using this kind of technology. I mean, the possibilities over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, think about 50 years from now, think of 100 years from now, if we don't all destroy ourselves, where medical technology will be, it's unbelievable.
No, you're and really what Ralph was talking about there is just taking all this, a lot of stories that we've done over the past
Yeah.
even just 2 or 3 years and kind of putting
Yes.
them all together and seeing the trend, thanks our science and tech trends correspondent. And yeah, he's not wrong. Just being able to, you need an organ, you grow an organ. You need
Yes.
a surgery, you get a surgery. That is the future that is totally possible. Barring misfortune. So there you go. Story number 4, Ralph. Amazing story. And so as I said before, if you've been following along, you may notice there's a little bit more to the show notes than just these 4 stories. And this is just to prove that Ralph is very fastidious and studious and showing that, there's more good news out there. We just don't have time to cover it all. We try to condense our show into a little bit more of a listenable format. And with that being said, Ralph, let's go ahead and mention the honorable mentions because these are stories that are great. You should hear about. We just don't have time for. So let's at least give them the headlines and tease them a bit, and they can come out to computeramerica.com and go to the show notes and find out more.
Absolutely. So we have 4 honorable mentions. The first one comes from livescience.com. Headline: This EV battery fully recharges in just 18 seconds. And it just got the green light for mass production. What?
That's incredible.
That's less time than to go to a regular fossil fuel gas station, right? I mean, that's 18 seconds.
That's like McDonald's drive-through time. That's impressive.
Or less.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is from Smithsonian Magazine, and I'm going to try to say this word. It's a word, the name of this little critter, really cute looking little thing. You need to see the show notes. Axolotls.
So close, Ralph. Axolotl.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. These little guys may hold I'll just call them little guys, may hold the key to regrowing limbs, and scientists are unraveling their secrets to help humans do the same. So these little critters, I've seen these guys before. How do you describe it? They have this eternal smile on their face, and they have these funny kind of like gill feathery like things on the side.
Mm-hmm.
They look kind of like a salamander like critter. Again, it's very difficult in words to describe.
Salamander with like walleyes and just the craziest hairdo you've ever seen. Axolotls are adorable. Yeah.
And they are adorable. They have the cutest smile. Okay, so here's the deal. You have to check that out. They have the ability to regenerate limbs and parts of their body. And that's what the scientists are interested in. The article really gets into this. It's just great. I mean, I super encourage you to check this out. Next one comes from techexplore.com. Headline: Aerial robot with elephant trunk developed for complex mid-air manipulation tasks. What a cool robotic thing. This is like combining drones and a really innovative, flexible trunk-like arm that can move and bend in all directions and so forth. You can imagine this drone going out to some maybe high-rise facility and doing some repairs or something. Really, if you're interested in drones and you're interested in robotics, the fusion thereof of the two, great story. Check it out. It comes from the
Would not be hard to imagine something like that being useful with a camera on the end for inspections or
there you go.
Checking things out. Very easy. Yep.
That's probably the best use, I think. Comes from the University of Hong Kong. Really great story. Check that out. Our last one here is from climatecosmos.com. Chasing the sun at midnight. Chasing the sun at midnight. How 24/7 solar became possible. Solar power. What? Really, really, this is some from Stanford University. This is some really great stuff. Check it out. And if nothing else, Ben and I have left you with hope in a world of horrible things. No, there's a world of wonders in science and technology.
Absolutely. It's the thing that's going to either save or destroy, and probably a little of both. So there you go. And we'll end on that one. But Ralph, I want to thank you so much for for joining us, and for everyone out there. The music means that we are going to wrap up here. But if you want to find out more, well, go to computeramerica.com, and right at the top you can of course find Ralph Bond. Here's a segment. Actually, I can throw that up on the screen. Right here at the top, right here in the middle, Ralph Bond. It's not hard. And of course, you can find our past stories right here as well. So with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you here next time. And again, happy 4th of July. Do something fun, grill something. It is an amazing time. And hey, 1 year off, Ralph, from 250 years.
Yeah,
crazy.
Isn't that something?
What a fun round number. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.